Welcome to Metroid Fusion. I feel like this one has been kind of a long time coming. Released in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance, we once again move back to a mobile platform instead of a full console. The game is officially listed as Metroid 4, and the only games that came before this, even release date-wise, were 1, 2, and Super. 1, 2, 3. So, it was a very long time ago, 2002 approximately, that I played through Metroid Fusion myself. And I have not really played through it since. I have watched playthroughs of it, watched speedruns of it, what have you, but I've not physically played through it myself. So let's give this just a little bit more of a raw look at what's going on. For starters, it's got a demo reel, much like Super did, which I actually think is kind of neat. It shows off some power-ups and enemies and things that you'll encounter later on. I feel like especially for something like a Metroid game, a demo reel is actually shockingly helpful, though can also be a little spoilery. I don't necessarily want to know what items or power-ups I get later on, but it's also nice to get bits of tips on how to go about doing things. I'd also like to point out just this intro. As soon as you switch the system on, this is what you see. The title, the station, and Samus's ship. And I feel like, especially if you compare this to Super Metroid, I feel like this is very representative of the focuses of the two different games. The intro for Super Metroid told you very little. It was a very emotional scene, going into even the title screen. And that's what they focused on, was getting that emotion across. Metroid Fusion, on the other hand, has a much larger emphasis on plot. So what do? They start out by getting you with a plot hook. They give you a little bit of story, just enough to like kind of know, hey, this is a thing that's going on, and then they hook you. I also like the completely stock explosion that happens when Samus's ship hits the asteroid field. That's not really even a knock against the game, because Super did the exact same thing. When Sarah's station blew up, that was a powerbomb explosion. So anyway, let's go ahead and hop on in. So I started this one just to make sure everything worked right. I haven't actually played it all, but let's go ahead and play on B. So one thing I noticed from the get-go is that Super Metroid actually gave you a lot of options. Controls, language, miscellaneous stuff, a lot. Fusion gives you nothing. And I feel like this is also something that was beginning to happen around the time, was older games were a lot more freeform in letting, like, just kind of giving you a playground almost, and saying, here, you play the game, how you want to play it. And there was a period of time where they started getting, no, we want you to play this game this way. We want you to experience the game this way. Come on, Samus, what are you doing wasting missiles on that? It's an energy being. Shoot it with a laser. Yeah, so we do get a little bit of story at the beginning, just like at the beginning of Super. Largely text-heavy, cannot skip it, but sets up where you are now and what's going on. Man, she is not feeling good about herself right now. You'd really think her ship would have some kind of... Oh yeah, you can see goop on the inside of her visor. You'd really think her ship would have some kind of, like, autopilot failsafe, but maybe it still thought she was piloting it. And, like, if she accelerates towards the asteroids, it'd just go like, yep, we're going this way. So ship's gone. And I feel like a lot of that is because they wanted to give you a new ship, because they wanted it to be sleek and cool. They redesigned Samus's outfit, they redesigned Samus's ship, so hey, we gotta get rid of her old ship. Yeah, not looking so hot. I think this is the first time that it's mentioned that there are even organic parts of her suit. I'm not sure what they even meant by could not be removed while she was unconscious. I think what I'm gathering is I don't think they were trying to go with the edge of I had to be conscious and enduring the pain the entire time. I think she was just out of it this entire time, so I think that came down to that they physically could not remove it. They couldn't. And then they mentioned this, like dramatically altering my physical appearance, but by the end of this game she looks normal? So there's a couple plot points here at the start that I don't feel like were explained well. Or quickly forgotten about. For the record, Sakamoto has gone on record to say he does not care what the English community thinks plot-wise is going on with the Metroid games. What assumptions we come to based on the translation or anything. Flat does not care. So this may have been just a bad translation and they just don't care. And that's not just Fusion, that's like all the Metroid games. And especially after this, when they start getting a little more plot-heavy, that becomes a kind of a bigger problem. So Sarah's Station, where the infant Metroid was taken to, it's not actually specified that that was a Federation base. It may have even been third party. But at the very least, it seems like some of that data got out and got to the Federation. Or something. Did it say they saved a cell culture? Because we blew that place the heck up. This is the beginning of a long line of somehow a Metroid DNA or something survived the explosion of a planet. Not the first, not the last. And this is, of course, because we know that the Metroids were developed specifically to destroy the X. The X are a largely energy-based life form. The Metroids feed on energy. Like, they have the talons for grip, but that's not how they absorb energy. So it's kind of understandable that even, like, since energy is a little more mutable, that once she had some Metroid DNA in her, and was more capable of that energy absorption, that it would just take the X directly in. I wonder if what this is... Oh yeah, you know, this makes sense. They said, like, they couldn't remove some parts of the suit while she was conscious. So they did remove some parts of the suit, and those were set aside. What they couldn't remove stayed on her, and this is what she looks like. Maybe by her appearance changing, they mean the appearance, like, of the suit. Not hers personally. So what's left of the suit was the much more organic parts of it. Hey, that's that big thing we were escorting. Or at least, where it was going. So straight up, one thing that I really don't like about Fusion is that, for the most part, this is how they convey story. Static image with a lot of text over. I feel like, especially if this is how you're going to convey story, you need to be way more concise in what words you're using and how you're conveying that story. But then, like, this is... I mean, there was plot and a lot of dialogue in RPGs and stuff, and those have been around since the NES. But as far as integrating plot with, like, platformers and action games, this is kind of new. And they didn't really know how to do it yet. So it's kind of understandable that it would be a little rough around the edges at the start. Or in this game specifically. Okay, we immediately get a map. Explosion in Quarantine Bay. It's got SR-388 crap in it. Ooh, and my suit. The parts they took off. I kind of wasn't paying attention because it was a lot of text. Why did we come here? Maybe there was another distress signal or something. I don't know how much I get this whole latent abilities thing, like, you have them, but you forgot how to use them or something. Like, just give us a power-up. I don't feel like there's any real, like, plot reason or anything to make it like that. Okay, so, I want to apologize because I genuinely want to, like, read and understand the story in this game, but I also know that when you just give me a lot of text, and especially when you give me a lot of text and I let it roll slowly so you guys can read, I start glossing over it. Like, my eyes glaze over. So, like, I'm trying to pay attention, but, like, my mind goes. Okay, so, Metroid Fusion. So we got our ship here. It's fancy. Can I go in it? Sure can. Not yet. I don't care. Just let me... Okay, so we gotta shoot. Got a nice chunky sound to it, even though this gun is garbage. Tips, tips. You're not quite as floaty as you are, just comparing immediate physics. You're not quite as floaty as you are in Super Metroid. I feel like gravity is holding me down just a little bit more. But it's not bad. As soon as you break out of the spin, gravity hits you way harder, though. Like it drags you down faster. I feel like that would actually make aiming in the air a little bit harder. So you do, in Super, R, I used R to angle up and L to angle down. In this game, they only have one button for it, and that's L angles up, but while you're holding L, if you press down, you angle down. I feel like this is going to be one of the hardest things for me to wrap my head around. Like, my brain doesn't naturally say L to angle up, and L down to angle down doesn't strike me as down. You're also unable to aim directly up while crouching, which you could do in Super by crouching and then holding L and R. You can still aim down, and still shoot diagonally. For the most part, I feel like the physics don't actually feel quite as bad as I remember them feeling, though something does feel distinctly just a smidge jank. You can still wall jump, and I remember doing some experimentation with this before. And the wall jump is objectively worse than the one in Super Metroid. Because it's done exactly the same way. If you just spin against the wall and press jump, you don't do it. If you spin against the wall and let off the D-pad, you don't do it. If you press jump and then away, you don't do it. You have to press away and then jump. But the window to do it is much smaller than it was in Super. You're given no visual indication, and you can't do the fast wall jump either because you're actually locked into your jump arc for a second. Thankfully, wall jumping is almost never required, so it's not that big a deal. But like the speed you move, how quickly you move, it's not as bad as I remember it being. Okay, so where we go? We gotta go over that way. Can I go up? Gray doors, green doors, can't do anything with any of them. Oh yeah, you can grab onto ledges, too. That's actually kind of a neat thing they did. And in Zero Mission, they turned it into an actual power-up. But it's kind of neat, because, like, let me tell you, in Super, I remember the number of times that you'd get like, I swear I can get on this! The sprite says I can! And then you still can't get on. So that's actually kind of neat. You don't have to talk to me, computer. You told me where to go and how to get there, and I can go there. Yep, there's stuff there. I may have to kill it. Okay, let's go. Ooh, spooky. Oh, that's neat. I can do that and look away, and then when I jump, I go away, like wall jumping. Nifty. Who's shining the spotlight on me? Like, just overall. I understand what they're trying to do, but, like, objectively, what's actually going on? Yep, look at that thing that I killed. Oh, it broke out of its container over here. Looks like things broke out of most of these containers, honestly. Well, that was it. Found the biosigns. All safe and sound. Nothing else wrong whatsoever. They get the music going. Get some spooky music going. Trying to make you feel that spook. And I think that's where, as I mentioned prior, Fusion is much more of a proper horror game. Like, they're trying to scare you. Whereas Super went for just a very different style of horror. And that's not necessarily bad. It's just different. I do like how that guy was the same guy that was in the intro story bit. Where, like, we saw the thing come out of it again, only this time we could absorb it. Whereas in the intro, that laid us out. And we were shown in the intro that you can't shoot it. So this is actually kind of a neat little... I mean, this whole intro area is kind of an elaborate tutorial, but that was kind of a neat little bit-to-bit. That almost happened to me. Thanks for recapping the intro for me there, computer. Oh yeah, I guess technically they don't know this yet. Or we don't know this yet. We had to have known it, though. Otherwise, why in the world would they give us a Metroid vaccine? Computer, I feel like you could have said this with, like, a fourth of the text boxes. We've experienced most of this, and you're also just recapping the story we just saw. Okay, replenish health and restore weapons, so these are our item pickups as well. Like, I don't know if it needs to be a latent ability. I won't harp on this forever. I don't feel like it needs to be a latent ability, though. Like, you're absorbing it into yourself. If it's got a real, special, unique ability, it only makes sense that when you absorb it into yourself, you gain the ability to do that. Okay, where are those? Okay, we're just not going to talk about it now. Got it. I really want their way to... Can I set the text speed to, like, a little bit faster? Alive and in charge. You haven't actually told me what it is, but sure. Okay. So I'm not going to go for too much longer. So now that the level 0 hatches have been released, we can go through places like these. You can see in the upper right, there's also level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Instead of taking, say, missiles to open a red door now, that actually takes releasing the level 4 lock. I was gonna say it's a little contrived and stupid to have, like, the computer have to do that, but I think you have to find a terminal or something to unlock the rest of these. So that's still based on exploration and finding something that allows you to go through. It's a little more direct, because there's different ways you can handle exploration and unlocking things. In some, you can get an item that lets you do something, like put a tall wall in the air. You have to get the hydrant boots, that kind of barrier. Or you could have, like, a door, and you have to go find the right key to it. It's a red door, gotta go find the red key. That lets you go through the red door. Games, Bunny Must Die did that, for Pete's sake. So, which is also one of my favorite games. So that's not... That's me pointing it out, there's nothing actually wrong with that. It would feel a little story contrived if, like... if the computer could release all of them and just, like, I'm only going to let you go as I want you to go through. But I think you have to actually explore and find terminals to do that. And that's actually pretty good. That's pretty cool. But we don't know much about that yet. Instead, we have exploration to do, and green doors in our way. Actually, the green doors are for something else, but we need to go over here because that's our target. So until next time, everyone, when we continue on into Metroid Fusion. I was kind of hoping to get more done in this video, but I guess I talked a long time at the start. Also, there has got to be a way. No, there are 0 options in this game.